So in the last session, right, we just completed all the setup. Okay, the AP basic setups we completed. These setups we call as a basic setups for payables application. To implement accounts payables, what setups we have to complete? These are the setups. So these are the different concepts which we are going to deal in the payables application. Okay, so these are the concepts. So when we are dealing with these concepts, for few concepts, we have to do the additional setups. Few concepts directly we can execute with the help of basic setups only. Anyway, we'll see one by one. First, we'll see how to create the standard invoice. Okay, what does it mean by standard invoice? What are the invoice we get from the supplier? That invoice we record in the payables that you can call as a standard invoice, or else you can call as supplier invoice or purchase invoice. Standard invoice or supplier invoice or purchase invoice, these all are same. Ideally, when we get invoice from the supplier, we create the invoice in the payables application by cross-checking with the PO information or receipt information, or else PO and receipt information. So this is how we have to create. For now, we are going to see how to create directly in the payables application. Going forward, we'll see how we can create invoice in the payables by matching with the PO and receipt as a part of P2P cycle. Okay. Now we are going to create invoice directly in the payables that you can call as standard invoice or call it as standalone invoice also. Directly we are creating an AP that you can call as standalone without matching with the PO or receipt we are creating. So call it as standalone also. Let's see how to create invoice in the payables. So go to navigator. Within the navigator, you can find payable section because we assign roles to this user. Expand payables. Click on invoices task. This will take us to invoice workbench. Click on invoices. Now we are in the invoice workbench. Here you could see invoice workbench. To create invoices, click on task list. Say create invoice. Just click on create invoice. So system is defaulting business unit. In the last session, we set one profile option. Default business unit profile option we set to this user. If this user is going to have access to any application or any screen where business unit is applicable, system should take Amex US business unit. That's how we given the specification we set as default. Based on the business unit, system is defaulting the legal entity also. BU level we associated primary ledger and legal entity. The same system is defaulting here. Now we want to create invoice against which supplier. We received invoice from which supplier. Select that supplier. Supplier name is Amex. We are able to find Amex supplier here only the one reason. This supplier related site is associated with this business unit. Say you created supplier, if you don't assign the site to this business unit, you cannot find the supplier here. Now you cannot find other suppliers here because we didn't assign any other supplier site to this business unit. Remember that point. If you say you created your supplier but you are not able to find your supplier here, that means you have to understand your supplier site is not associated with that business unit. So select supplier. If multiple supplier sites are available, you can choose from here. Since we have only one, automatically system is defaulting. You don't need to select. And when you get invoice from the supplier, there should be a number on that invoice. Enter that number here. So invoice number is 1111. Okay, 1111. System is not taking the currency here. Okay, so supplier site. With this site, we are creating invoices. With this site, we are creating invoices. When you create invoices against the supplier site, we used to create invoices in which currency. Okay, we use invoices creation in which currency we didn't specify at supplier site level. Okay, if you specify at the supplier site level, automatically system will take the currency here. For now, we'll select and we'll enter. Later, we will go on to set those so that we can understand how it will take. Now, I am selecting the currency USD. If you provided supplier site level, automatically that currency system will select default. I'm creating invoice with $1,000. So payment term system is taking by default as an immediate. If you want to change, you can change. So this payment term also you can set at supplier site level, the same system will take. Currency also you can set at supplier site level, the same system will take. Few other information also you can set at supplier site level. First we'll enter invoice here, later we'll go and set. This is invoice header section. There are few other fields also which you have to understand, but we have time for that. Okay. So we selected business unit, of course system is defaulting. Select supplier, system will default site, or else you can choose the site. And we provided invoice number and currency amount. The invoice what we are creating is that is standard invoice. Okay, there are different type of invoices, we'll see those. And which payment term is applicable for this invoice, that you can select here. And go to lines. Here we have a line section, expand it. Enter line amount. Okay, so you may enter one line or multiple lines, but all the lines amount should be equal to invoice header. This is a header section. Okay, when you talk about invoice, we can have a header and lines. For the lines, we'll have a distribution, 3 parts. Remember, when you talk about invoice header, one or multiple lines, and distribution. Okay, invoice header, invoice lines, invoice distribution. The total invoice amount we enter in the header level, that amount may belongs to one or multiple lines. Say invoice amount is 10,000. The 10,000 amount is belongs to 2 different items, or one item and other one is service. So that line amount is belongs to exactly which accounts, that you can give in the distribution level. Or else the amount is belongs to single account, directly you can give at line level. We'll see all those. So this is a line. The $10,000 you can enter in single line, or else if you want to go with the different item accounts or different items, that you can enter as a separate lines. For now, we'll go with only single line. I'm entering 1,000. Now you can select the distribution set, so that system will select this amount against those accounts what we are going to have in the distribution set. If you don't want to enter distribution set, directly you can enter the account here. This $1,000 should belongs to which account? This is all our system defaulting. Okay, in the yesterday session, we set all these as the defaults. In the instance level, company 1,000 system has to take, department 1,000, intercompany 00, project. This all system is default. If you want to change, you can change. Okay, we set these all are defaults. Now you can pick the account. You can select account. Say we can select some expense account. Click on advanced tab, and here say contains expense. We are trying to find out expense accounts. Any one of the expense account you can pick. Say internet expenses. Say okay. Say okay. Okay, this is going to be new code combination, right? We never created account code combination with internet expenses. Instance level, there is one checkbox we have seen in the last session. Because of that checkbox only, system is allowing to create this new code combination. Now you can see the $1,000 are belongs to this internet expenses. And when you provide account here in the line level, the same account system will take into distribution. Click on distribution. Every line you can have distribution. Same it is taken to distribution. Say save and close, or else say cancel to close this page. Okay. Now what we are doing is we enter header information and we enter line information. Line level we are not selecting any distribution set. Already we discussed distribution set is not mandatory. Manually you can enter the distribution here. Okay, we enter manual distribution. This amount should belongs to which account. If this amount is belongs to single account, you can enter here. If this amount is belongs to multiple accounts, directly you can enter that in the distribution only. You can go to distribution. Okay, say only $500 or belongs to this account. Click on add. Okay, only $500 belongs to the internet expenses account. Okay, the same account is coming from the line level. Now you can change this account. Here you can select different account. Click on advanced tab. Find out accounts. Expense. Search. I'm selecting another account called as small tools expenses. Select and say OK. Click on OK. Now here you can enter $500. The total $1,000 we are distributing across the two accounts. Okay, $500 and $500. Now say save and close. So we given one account at line level, but distribution level, again we are just splitting the total amount into two accounts. This is how finally system would select for accounting purpose. When you create accounting entries for this invoice, system will use the accounts which are available in the distribution only, not at line level. If line level, if you have only one account, the same account system will take to distribution. From distribution only, system will use the accounts. Now, distribution level, what are the accounts we have? Those accounts only system will consider. System will ignore the accounts which is available at line level. Remember that point. After providing all these details, we have to make sure that the information whatever we entered for invoice creation is enough or not. For that, we have to submit the invoice for validation. Okay, we have to submit this invoice for validation. Now you can go to invoice actions. Here we have invoice actions. Click on that and go for action called as validate. When you click on validate, system will verify invoice header amount, line amount and distribution amount equal or not. Okay, as per the rule, invoice header, line and distribution amount should be equal. If invoice header, line and distribution amount is not equal, you cannot validate. If invoice is not validated, you cannot make the payment for that invoice. Okay, for our understanding purpose, what I'm trying to do is I'm setting here $100. Okay, so invoice header level I have $100. Invoice line level I have $1,000. Invoice distribution level also we have $1,000. Total 1,000, 500, 1,000. So invoice header is not equal to line and distribution. So that this invoice cannot be processed. Let's see that. Go to invoice actions, click on validate. Okay, submit this invoice for validation. Now see here, status is needs revalidation. Again, you have to validate. Why? What's wrong with that? If you want to understand, click on needs revalidation status. It will give the reason. So it is showing holds. System holds. System placed one hold. The hold is related to line variance. There is a variance. Okay. the line level amount is not matching with the header amount. That you can see clearly. You can click on that hold number. You can click on this or you can click on this, both are same. So line variance, there is some variance. Click on this hold number 1. It will give the information what exact reason system placed to hold. Line variance. Okay, this is the hold name. System is stopping. Exact reason. Place the cursor on that. What it says, total of invoice lines does not equal to invoice amount. The invoice lines amount is not equal to header. That is the reason this cannot be processed. Who placed that hold? System? System verified. When you submit the invoice for validation, system validated. By correcting that, you can process this invoice. Okay, by correcting this, you can process the invoice. Now only the option is you can correct amount at line level as well as distribution level to $100, or else if an actual invoice amount should be 1,000, you can enter 1,000. Now we are creating invoice through manual process. That is the reason you come across with these mistakes. But if you are creating invoice based on your purchase order or based on the receipt, system will take care of everything. You no need to enter anything. System will look into that and system will create the lines and the distributions. Anyway, that we'll see as a part of P2P cycle. Okay. So now see the status needs revalidation. Now again submit for validation. Let system validate it. Verify. Submit for validation. Now see, validated. That means everything is fine with this invoice. That is the reason this invoice is validated. If invoice is validated, you can make the payment. Where you can see the due date for this invoice. As per payment terms, okay, our payment terms are immediate. What is the term date? It's very important. We have to understand. What is the term date? The payment terms. Okay, based on the payment terms, what should be the due date? What should be the starting date to calculate the due date? That is nothing but term date. Term date means from which date system has to calculate the due date. Okay, from which date system has to calculate the due date, that is the term date. For example, I am changing the payment term. Okay, I am changing the payment term to net 45. Okay, the 45 days system will calculate from which date? 12th. Okay, December 5th, 21. Okay, from this December 5th, it will calculate 45 days. Then it will identify the due date. Where you can see the due date, go to invoice actions, go to manage installments. Due date is this 45 days from today date means Jan 19, 2022. Okay. Within this payment term, we given the discounts also, discount terms. The same system is showing here. 3 levels of discounts we have. If you pay, okay, if you pay by 10th of December, you will get 100 rupees discount. If you pay by 15th of December, you will get 80 rupees discount. If you pay by 20th of December, you will get 50 rupees discount. So if you get 50 rupees discount, you have to pay only 950. When you get 80 rupees discount, you have to pay 920. When you get 100 rupees discount, $100 discount, you have to pay only $900. So, and what are the payment method we given at supplier site level? System is selecting here. See here. Okay. So we selected one payment method as the default at supplier site level. The same system is taking here. Manually, you can change the due date if you want to change. This due date system is deriving based on the payment terms. If you want to change the due date, you can change. As per payment terms, you have to pay on 19th, but you want to make it as this should be paid, okay, on this date only, by end of this month. Yes, you can change. You can change. This and all you can do. You can do the changes if you want to change. Okay. So term date means from which date the payment terms need to be calculated to find out the due date. So you can change payment terms even after doing the validation also. Now payment terms are immediate, term date is today date. Always system will take current date as a term date. From the date only it will calculate due date. Now you go and verify what is the due date. Payment terms are immediate. Today date is 5th plus 0 days means due date is 5th only. You can see here. So for immediate payment terms, no discount is applicable. So that's what you can see. Okay, so this is how we can create the invoice, and I'll take you through few more details. Later you can raise your questions. Okay, just with the basic information we created invoice. Now what system is doing? System by default it is taking payment terms as immediate. And when we talk about distribution, we entered manual distribution. Okay, we entered manual distribution. This is all we did. Now what we'll do is we'll go to supplier site and we will specify the default distribution set and the default payment term, and we'll specify the currency at supplier site level so that automatically system will take the currency. Automatically it will take whatever the payment term system has to pick for the supplier site, and automatically system will take the distribution set. We'll see all those. Okay. So now just you can say cancel. We created an invoice. Later we'll see how to make the payment. Now go to supplier creation page. Find our supplier. Okay, let me explain few points, then we'll discuss if you have any questions. Go to procurement. Go to suppliers. And go to task list. Click on manage suppliers task. Our supplier name is Amex supplier 1. Click on search. Okay. Now click on edit. Fine. Now go to sites. How many sites we created? Only one. Click on edit. Okay, we are at site 1. Now go to tab called as invoicing. Here you can give invoice currency and payment currency. With this site, if you create any invoice, you want to create invoice for this site in which currency, and you want to make the payment in which currency. If you select the currency here, during the invoice creation, you don't need to select any currency in the invoice creation page. Okay, just now we created invoice, there we selected currency also. But if you provide at site level, if you select the site, automatically that currency system will select. Select currency, invoice currency as USD. When you create invoice in USD, ideally we make the payment also in USD. If you want to pay in the different currency, yes, that is possible. That also we will test. Creating invoice in one currency, making the payment in the different currency, we call as cross currency payments. Okay, done. Now go to here in the, okay, we are in the invoice screen, invoice tab. Under invoice tab, we given invoice currency and payment currency, and scroll little down, and here you can set the payment terms also. Site level, whatever the payment terms you set, that payment terms only system will use at the time of invoice creation. I am selecting payment terms as Amex immediate. If you are creating invoice with this site, automatically system will select this payment terms. Automatically system will select this currency. The same way you can go to site assignments. Okay. The site we assign to this business unit, right? Here you can scroll little down and you can select distribution set. Okay, I'm selecting one distribution set called as miscellaneous expense. If you select the distribution set for this site level for this business unit, from this business unit, when you create invoice against the supplier site, automatically system will default this distribution set. Okay, you no need to select. Automatically system will select. Remember these 3 points. We selected one distribution set as default for the supplier site with the combination of this site and this BU. And we selected currency also, and we selected payment terms also. Everything we selected supplier site. Now save and close. Now we'll go and create invoice. Okay, we'll see invoice creation. Then how this all can be defaulted, we can understand. Say submit. Done. Now go to invoice creation page. Go to invoices. Go to task list. Or else you can see the invoice here. See what are the invoices we created in last 24 hours. System is displaying here. Okay. Now you can go to the task list and you can say create invoice. If not from here, directly from here also you can create invoice. Here we have a create invoice function is available. You can click on this create, or else you can go to create task. Click on create invoice task. Select our supplier. Amex supplier 1 is our supplier. Right. Now select the supplier. When you select the supplier, since we have only one site, system is selecting that site level we given currency. See, automatically the currency it is taking. This site level only we given the payment terms. The same payment terms it is taking automatically. Notice this. Now we have to enter invoice number. Say 2222. Whatever the number we have in the invoice, whatever we received from supplier, that number only we have to enter here. Okay, we should not enter whatever the number you want to enter. Always you should enter the number which is there in the supplier invoice. Otherwise, if you enter some different number, if you have some issue with any invoice, when you talk to the supplier, definitely supplier will ask for the invoice number. If you don't record that invoice number in your system, you cannot give the proper information to the supplier. You have issue with each invoice. Fine, I'm entering here $5,000. Now go to lines. Supplier site level we given the distribution set, right? So see, automatically system is taking the distribution set. Now simply you can enter the invoice line amount. Say 5,000 you want to enter in single line. Now this 5,000 system will hit to the account, whatever the accounts are available in the distribution set. If you want to change the distribution set, you can change. You can select furniture, or else you can accept the same. How system is selecting this miscellaneous expense distribution account? It is deriving from the supplier side. Site level we given the same system is taking. So this amount system is hitting with which account with the help of this distribution set. If you want to see, click on distribution. For every line we have to create the distribution. Now we selected distribution set. Within the distribution set we have this account. Which account we have? Miscellaneous expense account. Okay, now you don't need to do any changes here, just we are checking. So now you can submit this invoice for validation. So validate. Invoice is validated. Now we can create accounting. Okay. So we can see the due date for this invoice. If you want to see the due date, say manage installments. You can see the due date. Okay, 5th December. If you want to make the payment for this invoice, you can pay directly. You can go to invoice actions and you have a pay in full. If you want to pay the total amount, you can go with this option. If you want to pay partial amount, we have other option also. We'll see everything, but now just simple point. Here you can make the payment. So if you want to make the payment for any invoice should be validated. Okay, invoice, if invoice status is validated, you can pay. When we have to pay as per payment terms today. For example, as per payment terms, we have to pay after 10 days. If you want to pay today, yes, system will allow. Okay, so system will allow even if you want to pay before the due date. Now you can make the payment. Before making the payment, let's talk about accounting for this invoice. Okay, accounting for that invoice. So we'll create accounting entries for this invoice and we will discuss from where system is taking that accounting information for this invoice. We'll discuss all those points.
Lakshman, just one question, please.
No, 1 second. Let me complete that accounting, then we'll proceed with your questions. Don't mind.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you.
So that we can just complete some set of information. We can discuss whatever the queries. So we'll see how to create the accounting for this invoice. We created invoice is validated. When we can create accounting for invoice, if invoice is validated, then only you can create accounting. Then only you can make the payment. Validation is very important. If invoice is not validated, you cannot create accounting entries, you cannot make the payment. Okay, invoice should be validated. If you create accounting entries, why we are creating accounting entries? If you want to send this invoice information to GL for reporting purpose, accounting is mandatory. Okay, without creating the accounting for this invoice information you cannot send to GL in the form of journal. Okay, once you create the invoice, okay, the moment you perform the accounting against that invoice, system will create accounting entries. The accounting entries it will send to GL in the form of journal information. GL we created one manual journal, just we created by entering debit and credit lines. Against this invoice also system will create the accounting entries. The same information it will submit to GL, and this information, this invoice accounting information in the GL we can see as a journal information. Let's see how to create accounting. Go to invoice actions. Okay, go to invoice actions. Here we have two options. Post to ledger. Okay, other one is account in draft. If I click on account in draft, system will create the sample accounting. It will create accounting just to see how system would create the real accounting. Before you proceed with the real accounting creation, if you want to see draft accounting, okay, really if you submit this invoice for accounting, how system is going to create accounting entries, if you want to see, you can check with the draft accounting. Account in draft means it will create the draft. Okay, the draft accounting, sample accounting it will create, how really it would create if you submit for accounting. Okay, if you create accounting in draft, that information you cannot send to GL also. If you select post to ledger, what it will do? If I click on post to ledger, there are multiple actions system will perform. The first one is system will create accounting entries, real accounting, not draft. The real accounting entries it will create. The second step is the same accounting entries it will transfer to general ledger in the form of journal. The third step is the same journal system will post in the GL automatically. Okay, so if I select post to ledger, first it will create accounting entries for this invoice. The second step is it will transfer those accounting entries to GL in the form of journal. Third step is the same journal system will post automatically. These three steps, three actions, system will perform in the sequence automatically. Now I am going to click on post to ledger. It will create accounting, it will transfer to GL, and it will post the journal in the GL. We'll see that. Select post to ledger. When we are posting to GL, in the GL period also should be open. Already we opened the GL period. That's very important. So accounting is complete. You click on view accounting. How accounting is created for this invoice, we'll go and see. We are not entering any debit and credit lines, right? How accounting system is creating, we'll go and see. Click on view accounting. Okay, How system is creating accounting? You see here, account, miscellaneous expenses. Where we have this account within the invoice? Anyone please?
Distributions.
Distribution. Line level we given distribution set. The same accounts will be copied to distribution. That means to create accounting entries, this is the debit line. The debit line system is taken from invoice distribution. And this is another account. Here it is showing as a liability. Nothing but accounts payable account. Okay. Have you seen this account anywhere as a part of our payable setups?
In the supplier and supplier side.
If you are very sure, please. Otherwise, not required. Have you seen this account? Have you seen this accounts payable account 21010 account anywhere as a part of our setups in the payables? Anyone, please?
Invoice option setup.
Sorry?
Invoice option setup.
Not true.
Invoice option.
Anyone, please? So nobody is prepared.
Common options.
Yeah.
Common options.
Yeah, common options. Okay. We have this accounts payable account in the common option. We'll go and see that. So we have to remember everything so that things will become easy and you can understand very easily. Whatever we completed, if you are ready by next session, that will help us a lot. Otherwise, it would be new learning only every day. Complete your practice and just go through and remember whatever we did and the information what we given, what we discussed, etc. Let's go to common options. Okay, we didn't provide this account, right? System selected, but we discussed about. I take it through that account also. This is account, liability account. 21010, accounts payable. Okay, here is the account. Now, we have a liability account here. Notice this point. Now I'll take you to supplier. Remember all these points, very, very important. Okay, liability account where we have in common options. Okay, we'll go to suppliers. Go to manage suppliers. These points are very important, just remember. We are going to supplier and this is supplier site. Click on edit. Okay, click on this edit icon. We are at supplier site. In supplier site level, we have one field called as liability distribution. This field is mandatory or optional here. How do you find this field?
This optional.
Optional. The guys who are from EBS, what do you think about this field? Can you talk about this field in EBS?
It defaults from the common options, financial options.
Exactly.
Akul,
And before that, another point is it's a mandatory at supplier site level, right?
Yeah, supplier, it comes to first supplier.
No.
And from supplier to
English.
supplier side it comes.
It won't come
Yeah,
to
in
supplier.
EBS, I think this is mandatory, na, sir? Right?
It's a mandate in EBS. In EBS, supplier site level liability account is mandatory. In EBS, instead of common options, we have a financial options. In financial options, we provide that liability account Whenever we create the supplier site, automatically the account will be defaulted to liability, this field, liability account field. When you create invoice, in EBS, what system will do? From where it will take that account?
Supplier site.
Supplier side. Always system will pick liability account from supplier side in EBS to create accounting for invoice. Now, liability account is not mandatory in the fusion at supplier site level. You can see that this field is completely optional. Okay, they made liability account as an optional at supplier site level. Now, where we have liability account as of now, common options. Now we created invoice and we submitted accounting, system created accounting, and it is taking distribution account as a debit account, liability account as a credit account. What do you think? From where it derived that liability account now? What do you think?
From common options only,
Why?
because it is not defaulted
Because
to
here it is.
supplier side.
Now it is not there.
Because
at
here it is blank.
site. It is there only in the common options. From there only it is taking. That is true. Okay, if liability account is available at supplier site level, that account only it will pick. If liability account is not available at supplier site level, always system will pick the liability account from the common options. This is a point we have to remember. When you create invoice, from where system can derive the liability account for accounting, from where it can derive? First, it will check at supplier site level. Invoice is being created against which supplier site. The site level, it will look for liability account. If liability account is available at supplier site, it will pick the liability account from site. If liability account is not available at supplier site level, always system will take the account from common options. So this is a point we have to remember. And before it will create accounting for invoice, you can see that liability account also. Where you can see, we'll go to see that. Check.
Mr. Lakshman, sorry, one question.
Complete that point, you can ask your questions.
Okay.
Yeah, please. So where you can see that liability account, before you create accounting, we'll see that. Your system is showing the two invoices which we created. We are talking about this 2222 invoice. Click on invoice number, it will open. And we created accounting, right? We have seen also the miscellaneous expense account is debiting and liability account is crediting. When you select this site, okay, when you are creating invoice, not site, ignore that point. When you are creating invoice, automatically system will take the liability account at invoice header line. From where it will take? If liability account is available at supplier site, it will take from site. If it is not available at supplier site, it will take from common options. Now you can go to show more. Under show more, you can go to tab called as accounting. Under accounting, you have a liability distribution. During the invoice creation itself, system will derive the account here. Now, whatever the account is available here, this account only system will use for accounting. From where system derived this account to this invoice header? From common options only. There is no account in the supplier site level. The account is available at only common options. So during the invoice creation, system will verify. If liability account is available at supplier site level, it will select that account from site to here. If not available at site, system will default liability account from common options to invoice header. When you submit the invoice for accounting, so distribution level account it will take as a debit, this liability account it will take credit. That's how it will create accounting. So this is a point we have to remember. The invoice we are creating through manual process, this is applicable. When you create invoice with a PO or receipt, etc., how it happens, we will discuss. Now, what are the points we discussed so far related to invoice creation? Any questions from anyone, please?
This distribution liability account, will it not default to supplier level?
You tell me, will it default or not?
No, here in this case, in R12, it used to come to the site. supplier level first.
Same pages, right? Cost and the doing next. You tell me it's a defaulting or not. No, not defaulting, right? We have seen it's not defaulting. Okay, because the field is not mandatory. Since field is not mandatory, Oracle is not defaulting that. If you want to enter, you can enter. That's all. Any other questions, please?
Yeah, Lakshman,
Even
one question.
Please.
So this invoice number you don't have option for auto generate. We have to give every
There
time
is no
manually.
meaning if you auto generate. You can set some sequence generation. That's a different story. So
Yeah.
you get invoice from your supplier. That number only you have to enter in the system. Otherwise, tomorrow you'll call to supplier. So I got an invoice. I should get the invoice amount as a 4,000, but I got invoice to the 5,000. Then immediately your supplier will ask, tell me invoice number. If you say your favorite number, what you entered, they say, so I never send that invoice to you. They say, and you cannot work on that.
Oh, you correct. What I'm confusing in EBS, we have like auto sequencing, right? So that's
That is
what I
different.
thought.
A
Like,
sequence we can set here. That is not invoice number. Okay, invoice number is different from sequential numbering. Invoice number always you have to enter what invoice number you are getting from supplier. That's what we entered. If you want to, apart from invoice number, if you want to generate some additional numbering, yes, that is possible. Same as EPS. Okay.
okay,
So
got it.
number is different from sequence numbering. If you want to set a sequence to count the invoices, yes, you can go for sequence. That is not mandatory, optional. If you want to set, you can set. But invoice number should be invoice number only. What you get from supplier.
So for any manual invoice, we have to have the default accounting default from the common set options
No, I don't say like that.
and the liability account. I mean,
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. If you provide liability account at supplier site level, it will take from site. If you don't provide at site level, it will take from common option. That's what happens. That's what we discussed.
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah,
got it.
that's true.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Any
Yeah,
question?
Hello, Lakshman
yeah,
sir.
Lakshman.
Hello, Lakshman sir.
Please.
Hello, Lakshman
Yeah,
sir.
I mean,
Actually, in the view
yeah,
accounting,
go ahead.
while seeing the view accounting of this invoice,
Hmm.
we saw one more options is there, override GL code, I think something.
Don't think about what we are not discussing. I'll cover that. First, I have to complete this
Okay, sir.
and I'll go for that. Whatever we are discussing, focus on that. Otherwise, you have many
Okay.
questions to ask me here, right? Many.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
You can ask what is invoice group, what is this, what is that. Many are there. Don't focus on that. I'll cover whatever we have to understand definitely. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Whatever we
Yeah, yeah, good morning.
Nice.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Lakshman.
Yeah.
Yeah, the question is when you are creating the invoice, there is an item, right? Column called item,
Yeah.
type item. So instead of type item, that is a generalized word, can't we give any item name specific to that?
No. Item name you cannot give. In the P2P cycle, you can get the item. Okay, item information also system will copy. When you create it,
But here it is manual, right?
whatever you have in the inventory. Okay.
Here it is manual, like here, I mean, we don't have any other option.
No. This is a line type. Okay, this is a line type. Ideally, whatever expense you record and all, it comes as a item only.
Okay.
Yeah.
It means, don't you need to describe the item in the invoice? Generally, it happens, right?
Yeah, that happens. That happens since you are creating manual. Okay. So you cannot give. You may write in the description or somewhere if you want to write something. Okay. But we discussed in the last session, 99% invoices we create based on matching only with the reference of PO and receipts. Okay. So that we're in the P2P cycle. Now we are trying to how to create the manual invoice. When you create a manual invoice directly, you cannot access items from here. Okay, that happens. Inventory and the PO. We'll see that. We'll see that.
Yeah, one more request, Mr. Lakshman. I think you are going little too fast. Non-accounting, like non-financial
Explaining everything.
background.
One second. I am not just showing accounting debit and credit. I am clearly mentioning from where, how it is taking. Still, if you are not understanding, you have to wait for some time. That's it. So don't say like I'm going fast. Or I don't have any such kind of plans. Non-accounting or account. Just I'm clearly I'm going. I'm not saying supplier side and common options. I'm navigating those pages also. Try to understand that. Fine. Any
Hi,
other
Lakshman sir.
questions?
Yeah, Lakshman, I have a
So
question on
Santosh, yeah.
validation.
Yeah, please.
The validation, we saw that it was picking up the accounts based on whatever is configured in distribution set, and if at all, any on the, liability,
Hmm.
So besides that, those, are there any combinations that, we can configure, like, this account is valid with all of this department or all of these projects and things like that?
Yeah, that you can set. For that, we have a separate feature called as cross validation rules. When we are dealing with the GL, we can set that. So with this company, this is valid, this is not valid. This is how you can set. Yeah, possible.
Okay, that's on GL side.
Yeah, GL side. We call a concept is cross validation rules.
Cross-validation.
Yeah,
Okay.
we are going to work on that. Include it.
Okay. And in terms of validations, what does it validate? Do we know?
Yeah, as of now, what you have to understand only this header, line, and distribution. Okay, going forward, when we do the matching, it will validate the price, it will validate the quantity, it will validate if the currency is a foreign currency, the rates, etc. It will validate. As of now, it is standalone invoice. Just take the point, it will validate invoice header, line, and distribution amount is same or not. This is the one point it will validate. Okay, it will make sure that everything is matching. Header, line, distribution is matching. That is the first point it will validate. The other point is what are the information is mandatory to create invoice, that information is provided or not, system will validate. This is what you can take as of now. Going forward, whenever we come across with other points where the validation will come into the picture, that we will discuss. For now, take only header, line, distribution or matching or not, that's what system will validate.
Okay, sounds good.
And one more question, Mr. Lakshman. After validating invoice, can it be edited?
Sorry? What? See,
After validating, can it be edited?
you see there, the fields which are editable, definitely you can edit those. I just validated. Can I change the business unit? No. Can I change the supplier? No. Can I change the supplier site? No. But the legal entity selection can be edited, amount can be edited, payment terms can be edited, line level amount can be edited. This is what you can see directly here. Okay.
Okay, restricted edit is possible.
Yes. And
Can we have any business in a...
One second.
Yeah.
You can say, you can cancel the invoice. Okay. You can delete the invoice. It totally depends on the stage where you are standing. Okay, invoice you created before validation, after making the payment. Depending on those, you can perform certain actions. Certain actions are restricted. When you are practicing, you can try all those one by one. You just create and try.
Lakshman, one more
You try
question.
create and validate and try to delete it. Then you can understand all those very detailed. Yeah, please.
Okay, connecting to this. Connecting to this, always terms date is the same as date. Is there any business scenario where terms date can be different? And if so, is it possible to change the terms date?
Yeah, that everything you can set at supplier site level. Okay, the term date should be what date and all you can set over there. But ideally, that works in case of P2P cycle. Okay, goods received date. Okay, these and all you can set as a term date. By default, if you are creating invoice here in the payables directly as a standalone invoice, ideally system date is the term date. Invoice creation.
Lakshman sir, small query from my end. Is it? I have a bit doubt on this. The liability account.
It's not clear. It's not clear. Can you be, please?
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear now?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I have a bit doubt on this liability account. The liability account will be reflecting based on the site which we select.
No, that's what we are discussing. See, do you have a liability account at supplier site level?
No, it was not created yet.
It was not there. That's what we have seen. If it is there, from there only system would pick liability account from site to invoice header. It was not there. We have seen that. So where we have this liability account?
Okay. At this, I mean the business with primary ledgers which we created, like the common.
No, don't say something. Say what we are discussing. Where we have liability account, we have discussed in the class itself. If you don't remember it, leave it.
No, I don't
A
remember.
liability account in the common options, right? Just now verified.
Yes.
Yeah. So now
Yeah.
what system will do is when you create invoice, first system will verify the liability account is available at given supplier site or not, it will verify. We are selecting site 1. Site 1, in the supplier site 1, if liability account is available, it will pick the liability account from supplier site. If not available, it would pick from the common options. That's all. Now, what do you think? From where system is deriving this liability account? You tell me.
Okay. It is from common. Yeah.
Common.
Which was not created
Why it
at
is
site
not
level. Yeah,
from
that's
site?
what is restricted. Because it was not created at supplier level.
Yeah, it is not provided at site level. It is not provided at supplier site.
Yeah.
Don't say supplier. Supplier is not correct. Supplier is different and sites are different. It's very specific. So site level, it is not there. If I provide liability account at supplier site level, what it will do?
The liability account will be reflected.
It will take from site only. First, it will check at site. If account is not available at site, then only it will go to common options. That's
But it is a mandatory that which we need to create it, right? From
where
the account, I mean, the liability account.
no, what
It is a mandatory thing, right?
liability account mandatory. What where you are talking about? Liability account mandatory. Where?
At the supplier level, I mean,
Not
the site level, which
field is
we.
optional. Field is optional. Okay, field is optional. If you want to maintain the different liability accounts supplier wise, okay, the same supplier, same liability accounts you can provide for each site. Otherwise, if you are going to use single liability account for multiple suppliers, in common options level, if you provide, that is more than enough.
Okay, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's all.
Thank you.
How many liability accounts and what base you are going to use liability accounts, you can use it. For example, so you have a few suppliers or service providers. You have 10 service provider suppliers, 10 manufacturing suppliers. Some they provide raw material, 10 manufacturing, 10 government suppliers. Now 10, 10, 10 you have. Government suppliers 10, manufacturing suppliers 10, and service providers 10. Now you want to maintain the separate liability accounts for these three classification of suppliers. Now you never go with the common options liability account, but your requirement is based on the supplier classification, you want to have a separate liability account. Now what we'll do is we will create three liability accounts. Accounts payable, contract service provider. Accounts payable, manufacturer. Accounts payable, government supplier. Okay, this is how you will create for all government supplier related sites. We will give the same account. Accounts payable, government supplier. So that government suppliers related liability you can track separately with that account. And contract service providers separate liability account. All the service provider related suppliers you can give the same account at all those supplier site levels. This is how you can maintain different liability accounts and you can map at supplier site level. If you think anyway system will give the report supplier wise or based on the supplier grouping how you want to have, in that case you no need to maintain the separate accounts at supplier site level. Whatever the account you provide at common options, the same account will be used by all the invoices irrespective of which is against which supplier site you are creating invoice. This is what we have to understand.
Okay, thank you.
Right?
Lakshman, one question, please.
Yeah.
I mean, So, there are a lot of changes I see on the invoice section, and you showed the invoice section like pay in full and those kind of things. So those are new things, I guess, right?
We will see that. We will see. We'll work on one by one, one by one. Still, if you have any questions, we'll discuss. Yes. In
Okay,
EBS
how about the
we have
tax
all those. One
invoices? Are
second.
you
One second. In EBS also we have all those. There will be one tab. Actions tab will be there in the bottom. You click on that. All those will come over there. Here they're given as actions on top. They're showing as a drop down. That's all. The most
so
of actions what
the tax?
we have those.
I'm yeah. I'm
Payment
just
also we
checking on
have
the
in EBS.
tax invoices. I was looking for that. So we'll be covering in the P2P cycle or in AP?
Yeah, I'll cover Fusion tax. Fusion tax, how to configure, how tax will be calculated when you create invoice. I'll cover that.
Okay, thank you.
Done. Okay, we created invoice and we accounted. Once again, we'll go to verify the accounting entry for this invoice. Go to actions, or else just you can click on validated status, not on actions. Go to click on validated status. It will display whether accounting is done or not. Accounting status is accounted. It is providing hyperlink. You click on accounted status, how it is accounted, it will show. And payment for this invoice unpaid, not yet paid. What is the due date for this invoice? Today only, December 5th. Now click on this accounted status. How it is accounted, you can see. Okay. So what you spent expense, which expense? Miscellaneous expense. That is debiting, and you have to pay. That is a liability, our liability. Okay. We have to pay liability, or you can call as accounts payable. So whatever we have to pay, that is accounts payables, or you can call as a liability. Okay, that is crediting. It is showing as a what is spent, that is expense debiting. What we have to pay, that is a liability. It is showing as a credit. Remember, when you create invoice, what is debited, what is credited. What you spend, that is debit. What we have to pay, that is credit, liability. Expense debit and liability credit in case of invoice creation. If you have different expenses, all expense will be debited and liability will credit. When you create invoice, manual invoice, remember, when you create manual invoice directly in the payables, what is the accounting entry? Simple. The expense account is debit, liability account is credit. Remember, as of now, there's no other point you have to understand just for this invoice creation. Okay. When you create invoice, what is the accounting entry? When you create invoice directly in the payables, what is the accounting entry? The expense account is debit, liability account is credit. Now we submitted this invoice by selecting this option, right? Post to ledger. When you say post to ledger, what system will do? What we discussed? Anyone please? What we discussed? When you select post to ledger, what system can perform? What system can perform?
System will generate the final accounting entries and it will transfer to GM. After then it will get posted to them.
That's all. Yeah. To select post to ledger, first system will create the final accounting. Real accounting entries it will create. That's what we are able to see. Please go on mute. The second point is system would transfer those accounting entries to GL. That will go on. The same entries it will post to the GL. Okay. Now we'll go and see that information and we'll discuss if you have it. One second.
One
please
question,
don't
Mr.
stop me
Lakshman.
for every time. Ramesh, please don't mind. Okay, I'll answer to your questions. Okay. Don't mind. Let me complete that point. Okay, I'm explaining to show something. Okay. Let me just, since I explained, let me show that, then I'll take your questions. If you think you will forget your questions, please make a note. Don't mind. Now we'll go to GL. Okay, we created accounting. We are able to see the accounting entries here. See here, 2222 invoice is accounted. Accounting status is accounted. The first invoice, whatever we created, that is not accounted, unaccounted. Yes, we didn't create accounting for the first invoice. Only the 2222 invoice only we accounted. Now we'll go to GL and we'll verify whether that accounting entries related to 2222 invoice, the accounting entries are transferred to GL or not, we'll check. Okay, go to general accounting section. Where is the general accounting? Here. Expand general accounting. Go to journals. Here, go to task list. Now click on manage journals. How we are navigating here? So we were in the payables. Now we are switching to GL. You have to go to general accounting, expand it. Under general accounting, we have a one task called as journals. Click on journals task. We'll go to journals workbench. Okay, we are in the journals workbench. Now go to task list. Go to task list. Click on manage journals. By default, system is selecting current date, current period. Now if I click on search, within this period, whatever the journals are available in the GL, it will display. Those journals may be created directly in the GL, or those might be coming from other applications. But now what journal we require? The journal which is coming from AP we want to find out. How journal is coming from AP? In AP we created invoice and we submitted for accounting. Accounting entries are created in the GL AP. The same information should come to GL also in the form of journal. Against invoice, system created accounting, that information it will transfer to GL in the form of journal. That's what we want to find out. Now if you want to find out any journal is coming from AP to GL, you have to select source as a payables. Okay, if any journal is available in the GL in this period which is coming from payables, you want to find out. So source is nothing but origin of the transaction. If any transaction related accounting is coming from AP, we want to see that. So select source as a payables. Payables, say okay. Okay, from payables, December related, transaction related accounting entries, if anything is coming to GL in the form of journals, we want to find out. Okay, click on search. Okay. You can see categories purchase invoice. In payables, one purchase invoice is created with the 5,000 that came to GL in the form of journal. Okay, journal. This is the name system generated, journal name, batch name. And you see that batch status posted. We discussed. When you submit for accounting in the payables, okay, post to ledger option. Creates accounting, it created, we have seen in the payables. It transferred to GL. Yes, it is transferred. We are able to see here. It post in the GL. Yes, it is posted also. You can open and see. Just click on journal name. You can see how it is coming from payables to GL. So automatically system created this batch name. Since it is coming from payables, it is showing as payables. You can see description. Journal import payables. This journal is imported from payables to GL. And it in payables it created in the December month. And from where it is coming? From payables. Okay. What is the current status of this journal in the GL? It got posted. And what is the category? What purpose it got created? In payables. In payables, basically with the two purposes we create the transaction. One is invoice purpose, another one is payment purpose. Okay, one is invoice, other one is payment. In payables, whatever you create, that could be invoice or payment. So category is nothing but purpose of the transaction. We discussed in the last session. So category is nothing but purpose of the transaction. This record is created in the payables with the purpose of purchase invoice. That's what you can see here. And in payables, whatever the accounting entry we have, the same is coming here. Which account is debited in the payables? Miscellaneous expense. Okay, the miscellaneous, it is coming first or second, doesn't matter. Which is debiting, which is crediting. So this is miscellaneous expense. Miscellaneous expense is debiting. And here liability account is crediting, you can see. Accounts payable is nothing but liability. Liability account is crediting. Now you are a payables user, you are a GL user. Okay. So when you are working for a company, you may work for payables or receivables or assets or purchasing or order management or general ledger application. You may not have access to all the applications. As a business user, you are working for general ledger application. You got access to only journals. So, but you have a doubt. Okay, you want to understand more about this 5,000. Whether this purchase invoice is paid in the payables or not, you want to check. Or else you want to understand who is the supplier for this purchase invoice. You want to understand. But you don't have access to payables. Okay, you don't have access to payables. The current user got access to payables under GL, right? For Amex user, we assigned GL roles as well as payables roles. But reality, maybe supervisors or say managers can have access to different applications. As a business user, you may get access to only payables, in payables only for invoice creation, or else only payment creation, or maybe both, or limited access for a certain functionality, or else only for general ledger application. This is how business users can get access. Say you are a business user, you got an invoice related accounting entry to GL in the form of journal. Now you are looking into that journal information and you want to know more about this purchase invoice information. Even if you don't have access to payables, Oracle is giving the flexibility with the read-only mode. You can verify this purchase invoice information from GL itself. You may not have access to payables. Still, this journal creation screen will give you the option to verify this purchase invoice information from here itself with read-only access. You can see, you cannot do any modifications for the data which is available in the payables application. Okay, the payables application, you cannot change it. Let's see how we can check. Now I am a GL user, general ledger user. I'm working for general ledger application. I got this journal from the payables against purchase invoice. Now I want to verify this miscellaneous expense 5,000 whatever we spent. This invoice is paid or not, who is the supplier, what is the invoice number, and other details also I want to understand. Yes, you can check that. For that, you can drill down. Okay, you can dig into this information that we call as drill down. If you want to drill down the detailed information for this data, you have to click on that amount. Okay, you want to know about this 5,000 amount. Who is the supplier, what is the site, what is the payment terms, this and that. Now you can click on this amount. See here. You can click on this 5,000. We have a hyperlink. Just click on that 5,000 amount. Okay, the amount we have a hyperlink. Here now we are in this page. Okay, here you can expand. This is account code combination and this is 5,000 debit amount. You can expand. Our system is showing the details here. It's read only. Party name. Here party is nothing but supplier. Who is the supplier? Amex supplier 1. Party site name. Amex supplier address. Okay, this is actual address name. And what is the invoice number? This 5,000 we received into payables in the form of journal. That is coming from which invoice? That is belongs to which invoice as per payables? 2222 invoice. What is the total invoice amount? 5,000. Invoice is created in which currency? USD. Invoice creation date. Invoice date is this. Whether invoice is paid or not? No, not paid. Okay, if it is some partial amount is paid, what is the remaining amount it will show? Say invoice amount is 5,000, you paid 3,000, it will show remaining amount as a 2,000. And this invoice Okay, belongs to which legal entity? This is a legal entity identifier. Still, you want to see more information about this invoice. You can click on view transaction. It will display directly invoice how it is created in the papers. Click on view transaction. Now you can see this is the invoice created in the payables. Same format. Okay, how you see invoice in the payables, header, lines, and distribution as it is, you can see. Invoice number is 2222. You are accessing from this general ledger related ledger, primary ledger. Okay, from general ledger you are accessing this information where this information belongs to this primary ledger. So in this business unit, this invoice is created. Invoice number is 2222. Invoice is created in this business unit. This is a legal entity, and the supplier name, supplier site, supplier address, invoice creation date, and invoice amount. This is unpaid amount. Invoice type is standard invoice, line amount, and you can go to distribution, and so you can see the distribution. You can see all the details. So this we call as drill down functionality. We are drilling down to get detailed information about that journal line. Remember what level we are doing the drill down? Not at journal level, journal line level. Here, this is journal line. Two lines we have in this journal. The journal belongs to purchase invoice. Against the purchase invoice, we created accounting entry. Same accounting entries information came to GL as a journal information. Okay, as a journal information. Within that journal, we have two lines. One is debit line and one is credit line. So entire journal level, you cannot perform the drill down. Line wise, you can drill down. Now you can drill down with this liability account also. This also will take us to the same page because these two are belongs to same invoice. Okay, system can create a single invoice for single journal for multiple invoices. In that case, the line wise, if you will find multiple lines, or else if you click on single line, that will display that total amount is belongs to how many different invoices. Accordingly, you can drill down to different invoice also. So that's how you. This is the point we have to understand when you perform the post to ledger action in the payables application. It creates accounting, final accounting or say real accounting. It transfers the same accounting information to GL in the form of journal. The same information system posted. Okay. Once you post, you cannot do the modifications in the journal. That is the point. Okay. If you just have a invoice journal in the GL, you can modify. But once journal is posted in the GL, you cannot change anything. You cannot change anything. You have to accept whatever the information you have in the GL application. Okay. Done. Whatever we discussed, any questions on those, please? Whatever we are discussing on that, you can raise your questions. Okay. Whatever you are not discussing, we don't need to think about it. When we touch those points, we talk about it.
Yeah, Mr. Lakshman, the problem with me is like basically without finance and accounting background, I'm not able to connect what is general, what is GL, and what is PL. So if you can spend a couple of minutes after the class, it would be fine.
See, what is journal? The accounting entry information, what we maintain in the GL, that is journal. In payables, we have an invoice, right?
Okay, yeah.
We have invoice. For invoice, we created accounting entry. What entry it created for invoice? Expense account debit, liability account is credit. That's what you have to remember, nothing else. That will remain as it is forever. One time you have to, whatever you are seeing, just so expense account is debit, liability account is credit. The same accounting information, if you transfer, that we call a journal. That's it.
It means first it will be posted in general and from general to GL. That is what?
What is journal?
That's what. Just I'm trying to understand that.
No, there is no general like. So we are creating accounting entry for invoice, right? That is clear for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We created accounting entry. What is the accounting entry for invoice?
I mean, with the credit and debit, that is a two entry, this
What is
thing.
that? What is that? Credit and debit. What is that? We discussed the same. If you remember that, the game is over. What is the accounting entry for invoice?
Payable, you mean to say accounts payable and
Nothing. That's what. Remember whatever I'm saying. Expense account is debit, liability account is credit. That is accounting entry for invoice.
right. I understood that.
Forever. Okay. But
Yeah.
invoice, accounting entries, expense account is debit, liability account is credit. The same
Yeah.
information if you send to GL, that we call as journal.
Okay.
That's all. There is nothing else. Still, if you want to understand, we'll discuss later. Okay, in the end of the session.
Okay. Thank you.
Lakshman, I have one question. Could you please navigate, show me again the drill down entry for this one you showed? I didn't understand that navigation.
Open journal, click on amounts. That's all. Manage journals. Here, if you want to find out the journals which are coming from payables, okay, you can,
Okay, source is payable.
yeah, select payables, source as a payables. See, what you can do is, it's whatever you are doing, it's very new for everyone, no doubt in that. What you can do is,
Yeah.
you try from your end one time. Okay, you practice, make a note of each and every point. Then read whatever we are discussing, make a note and read and remember, try to remember and practice twice, thrice, then things will become easy. By just seeing, we cannot grab it.
No, I understand that. That's
I'm
normal
not talking
thing, but
about you are not a specific person. Generally, I'm saying. Sorry, I'm not talking
yeah.
to anyone. Yep.
Thank you.
Open this and you can click on amount at line level. Yep.
Okay, got it.
Click on that amount. This is a one line. Here you can see all the, by default it would be like this. Now you
Okay. Thank you. This one only I wanted.
Here only you can see the details. Still, if you want to see the complete information, click on view transaction. Yeah, done.
Okay.
Now I am taking a simple scenario. The invoice is created in the payables, it is validated, it is accounted, information also transferred to general ledger. Okay, and we can see the journal against the invoice in the GL application. Whatever the invoice we have in the payables, against that invoice, accounting is created and the same accounting information came to GL in the form of journal. So whatever the accounting information we have for invoice, the same information we have in the GL as a journal information. Done. Now we identified one mistake in that invoice. The account should be different account. Say we selected wrong account for invoice. Now we can correct. If you correct in the payables, automatically that would be corrected in the GL. We'll go and see that. Go to same invoice. Go to payables. Go to invoices. Double two. Okay. Where accounting, you have to click on validated status. Click on accounting. You practice once or twice or thrice, just then things will become very comfortable for you. Okay. By seeing, by attending, you can understand up to one level. By practicing, yes, that will increase the level of understanding and comfort. So here we have this accounting. Expense account is debit, liability. Whatever the expense account is, you are giving that expense account. Simply you can say expense account is debit, liability account is credit. Which expense account? You can give any expense account. Now the point is, this account is wrong account. It should be different account. But we given miscellaneous expense. Take that scenario. In those cases, you can change the account. We created invoice, we validated, we accounted. This accounting information we transfer to GL also. Still, you can change the account for this invoice. How to change, we'll see. Here we have one tab called as override account. With the override account functionality, we can change the account. It could be liability account or expense account, any account you can change. But here one condition is, you should not change the balance and segment values. Okay, balance and segment value should be same in the debit and credit. You can change account, primarily account. Click on override account. Just click on override account. It will give the option to choose the new account. Accordingly, system will reverse. So this is the current account, right? Miscellaneous expense account. So by mistake we selected that miscellaneous expense account and we accounted and we transferred to general ledger. Now we want to correct it. The real actual account should be different. Just click on this search. What account you want to provide here. Select right account. Say contains, search with any one of the expense account. Say that account should be postage expense account. By mistake, say user selected as a miscellaneous expense. The account should be postage expense. I am selecting the right account. Say OK. What happened? Why it is not displaying? Let me cancel. Okay. Select this expense account and click on override account. Okay. Here you have to change the account. Postage expense 60003 account number. Say OK. Why? What is the reason you are changing the account? Okay. Some correction, or you can write user mistake or wrong account selection. The reason you can write. Say submit. Now system will reverse miscellaneous expense and it will you take this postage expense. Wait for a second, we can see the same here. Now see here. This is the account which we created, miscellaneous expense. this account is debiting, right? The same miscellaneous expense now system is reversing by crediting. This is a miscellaneous expense account what we created initially, and system creating same miscellaneous expense line and it is crediting. So here it is debiting, here it is crediting, same account knocked off, 0. The final account which is remain is this account. Postage expense account is debit and liability account is credit. Now miscellaneous expense account already we have as debit. Now system created the same account as a credit. Here debit, here credit, same account. Same account is debiting, crediting means the result is 0. Now only here the valid account is postage expense account, debit, liability account is credit. And now it will create one more journal to reverse existing journal of miscellaneous expense. You can go and see GL side. Okay, miscellaneous expense is debiting as per previous journal. Now it will create new journal to reverse the miscellaneous expense. The miscellaneous expense is debiting and it will create one more journal by crediting the miscellaneous expense and by debiting the new account. Now go to GL, select task called as journals, go to task list, manage journals, select payables and say OK. Click on search. The first journal is this. Here this you can verify. Here you can see miscellaneous expense debit and liability credit. So miscellaneous expense is debit and liability account is credit. This is the first journal. Now you perform the just override. For that system will create new journal entry. This is a new journal entry created, second journal. Here it has to reverse the miscellaneous expense by crediting. And which is the right account that has to debit. See here, miscellaneous expense account is crediting. In the first journal debiting, in the second journal crediting, final result is 0. The first journal liability account is credited. Here you can see that new account, postage expense you can see as a debited. Postage expense is debiting. From this two journal, only valid lines are 2. Postage expense is debit. In the first journal, liability account is credit. That is the final entry. And miscellaneous expense in one journal it is debiting, another journal it is crediting. That will get knocked off. The result is 0. So if you are new to accounting or anything, just no worries. You just practice this. There is nothing, only single entry. Expense debit, liability credit when you create invoice. Other than that, you don't need to understand anything. So you try this. Still, if you want to focus on something else, I'll tell you. So no confusion is required. You practice once. You practice once. What you are trying to learn from this concept, invoice creation and journal, only one point. When you create invoice, expense account is debit, liability account is credit. Which expense account? Whatever the expense account you provide, that account is debit and liability account is credit. From where system is taking the expense account, whatever the account you are giving in the distribution, from distribution it is taking the expense account. From where it is taking the liability account, if liability account is available at supplier site, it will take from site. If it is not available, it will take from the common options. This is the point you have to understand. So we created invoice and we accounted and we transfer to GL. The same accounting information which is coming to GL, that we are calling as journal. Okay, just name they given as a journal for accounting information in GL. So that's all. That is just accounting information as per payables, which is related to invoice. When the same accounting entries, debit and credit lines, once it comes to GL, we are calling with one name. The name is journal. That's all. So we created invoice in the payables, we accounted and transferred to GL and posted automatic in the GL. And we say we identified one mistake. wrong account we selected. That you can correct automatically with that account system is reversing. Which account is debited with a wrong, that same opposite line it is creating for the same as a credit, so that will become 0. The new account it will system will consider the same, it is reflecting in the GL automatically. We don't need to do anything. Okay, we don't need to do anything. So this is the point we have to understand related to invoice creation. We'll see the payment creation and all. We'll have a 10 minutes break and we'll continue with the payment, etc. Okay, we'll just have a 10 minutes break and we'll proceed. Fine. We'll have a 10 minutes break and then we'll continue. Okay, now we can continue. So there is a lot of other information what we have to understand related to invoice creation. We'll see that. Okay, we'll create a different type of invoices there. We can touch a lot of other information. But now just remember these points, accordingly you can practice. So just we have seen how to create the invoice. We have seen invoice creation with manual distribution with the distribution set also, right? Now we'll see how to make the payment. Okay, we'll see how to create the payment. So go to payables, go to invoices. Now we have 2 invoices. Can we make the payment to these 2 invoices? Yes, because these 2 invoices are validated. You don't need to look at the status of accounting. You may account, may not account, but still you can make the payment. To make the payment for any invoice, the minimum the invoice should be validated. These 2 invoices are validated. Now you can make the payment directly from the invoice page. The other option is you can go to payment page and you can make the payment. We'll see both. Okay, first you can select any one of the invoice. I'm opening this invoice. Click on invoice number. Okay, just click on invoice number. So invoice status is validated. If you click on this validated status, you can see the details of this invoice. Invoice is validated. Accounting it's not yet accounted. Payment status is unpaid. Due date is today. Okay, irrespective of due date, you can make the payment. Let's see how to make the payment for this invoice. Go to invoice actions and say pay in full. That means if you want to pay the full amount for this invoice, you can go with this option. So you have 1,000 rupees due. You want to pay only $1,000, and you want to pay only $500. In that scenario, you should not go with the pay in full. Okay. Now say we want to pay $1,000. Let's proceed with the pay in full. If you want to pay partial amount, how to pay, that we'll see later. First we'll see how to make the payment for this invoice, that to full amount. Pay in full, total amount. Select pay in full. And with this business unit, only one bank account is associated. That is the reason automatically system is taking. After creating the bank account, this bank account we assign to this business unit as a part of bank account creation, right? So that is the reason automatically system is selecting that bank account. And now you have to select the payment process profile. Select payment process profile, whatever we created as a Amex payment process profile. You see payment process profile selection is mandatory. Within that we'll have a rules, accordingly it will allow us to process. Now you can select the payment document. We given payment document as Amex check, right? As a part of bank accounts documents we given. The very first check number we given as 1,001. The same system is going to use. Now you can click on submit. You just click on submit. Now system will create the payment record for this. It created payment. The payment number, check number is this, and we processed this much amount. Okay, the payment is created, has been created with this amount with this check number. Now we'll go and see that payment record. So against this invoice, we process payment. If you go to validated status, here you can see payments paid. How much you paid? $1,000 paid. Status is updated. It is not accounted, no issues. Now we can go to payment workbench. So go to navigator. Here we have a payments task. Click on payments task. It will take us to payment workbench. Payment workbench. In the payment workbench only we can create the payments and we can manage the payment information. So click on payments. And go to task list and click on manage payments task. Now you can find out the payments whatever we process. We want to find out the payments paid to which supplier. Select our supplier name. Amex supplier. What are the payments we process to Amex supplier we want to find out. Click on search. You can see that payment. Check number is 1001. How much we paid? $1,000. Payment date is today. Payee whom we paid. Reconcile. We didn't do any reconciliation in the cash management. Bank statement reconciliation is not done for this payment. Now this payment would be available in the cash management. We'll see that when we are working on the cash management, or else you can open this by clicking on check number. So these are the details. Payee. This payment status is negotiable. Okay. Negotiable means it's not yet reconciled in the cash management. Just paid. Okay, it has to go for clearing. Once it is cleared, accordingly you can update the status. So that. So paid invoices. Which invoices you paid, that you can see. The invoice number 1111 is paid. If you want to see invoice details from here, you can click on the invoice number. Click on invoice number, it will display the invoice details. But this invoice we paid. Invoice type is standard amount, supplier, all the details you can see. So this is how you can make the payment. Invoice amount is $1,000 and we process payment 1,000. Now we have other invoice. Go to invoice workbench. So here you can see the invoice number 1111 status is fully paid. Total amount we paid. Now we have one more invoice 2222. Invoice amount is 5,000. You want to pay only $1,000 from this, or else only 2,000 you want to pay. If you open this invoice, if you go to pay in full, you have to pay total amount. You cannot pay partial amount. For that, what you can do is, if you want to pay partial amount for any invoice, directly you can go to payment workbench. From the invoice workbench, if you try, you have to pay full amount. Just now we have seen. But you have a due amount as 5,000, you want to pay only 2 or 3,000. How to pay, we'll go and see. Go to payments workbench. Click on payments task. Go to task list. Say create payment. Okay, click on create payment. Click on create payment. Now whom we want to make the payment, select that supplier name. You can type the name, it will come. Amex. So we want to make the payment to Amex supplier. Select Amex supplier. Since we have only one site, automatically system will select the same site. If you have multiple sites, you can choose the site. Here you see the payment types. Okay, quick. Quick means if you want to print the check, you can use the quick. The other one is you have a manual. Manual means, say you already issued check outside of the system. You written one check and you given to the supplier. Just you want to record in the system. In that case, you can select type as a manual. If you select manual from system, you cannot print the check. If you want to print the check, when you make this payment, if you want to print the check from the system, you have to select quick only. Already you given the check outside of the system that you are recording in the system, in the sense you can select manual. Refund means when you give the advance to supplier, supplier may refund amount back to us. Say you given $10,000 advance, you purchased up to 9,000. You don't want to proceed with the supplier to purchase anything. The 1,000 you want to get refund from the supplier. In those scenarios, we can use this payment type called as refund. Yes, we are going to see how to deal with the refund concept also. At that time, we'll see. For now, just you have to use the payment type as quick only, since we are going to print the checks from the system. And by using which bank account you want to make the payment to the supplier. Select our bank account. Amex corporate account. So at the time of this bank account creation, we given currency as USD. Same. You can make the payments only in dollars. You cannot make the payment in the different currency. If you want to make the payments in the different currency, how to deal with that? We have a separate concept. There we will see that. Now, payment process profile is mandatory to make the payments. Select payment process profile. We created Amex payment process profile. Now you can select the payment document, that is Amex check. Now system will allocate the check number. Already we used a check number called as 1001. Now system is going to allocate 1002. By using this check number, we are going to make the payment. Okay, to whom we are going to pay? Amex supplier 1 and to the site. And by using which bank account we are going to pay? Amex corporate account. What check we are going to use? 1002. But for which invoice we are going to make the payment? You have to choose the invoice. Against which invoice we are going to make the payment? The invoices we have to choose from here. Invoices to pay. One or multiple invoices you can choose. Click on add. Only one invoice is due. Okay, select this invoice. Select. Okay, you can click on this record. The invoice record will get selected. Now say apply. And say okay. Now how much amount we have to pay against this invoice? 5,000. Okay, the total invoice amount is 5,000. Total is unpaid. Okay, no interest is applicable. No discount. You are paying the late, and we have to do the interest related setups. There you can see the interest calculation. Now it is not applicable. Now I don't want to pay 5,000. I want to pay only 2,000. If you want to pay 2,000, just click on that record. Double click on that record. Now fields are open. Unpaid amount is 5,000. How much you are going to pay, that you can enter here. You want to pay only 2,000. That's all. Now if you say save and close, system will record the payment only for 2,000. Okay, total amount you are going to pay 2,000. Still there will be 3,000 as a due amount. Later you can pay that. Now say, and if you want to print this, okay, if you want to print this, here you can just go to advanced tab. Okay, in this environment, printer is not installed. If printer is installed, if you are working for your client, definitely the printer will be installed. So you can enable print now, and you can select printer here. In this instance, no printer. You can select printer name. Then whenever you click on save, automatically system will print the check based on this payment information. It will print check with the supplier name and with this amount, whatever we are paying, $2,000, it will. Now we are not going to print. There is no printer. You can uncheck this print now. So just save it so that the system will record the print. So save and close. Whenever you click on save and close, automatically system will try to create the payment related file. You can go and see that. You can go to tools, go to scheduled process. We are using the standard check format, right? At the time of bank account creation, format field we selected standard check. As per the check, it can print. Now here you can see format payment files. Scroll little down. Below you can see log and output file. Click on this one more. Here PDF format we have. Open this PDF file. If you really print, okay, how it would be printed, you can see here. So this is a format. The standard check format, one we selected at the time of bank account creation, documents. There, this is how we have a data. Okay. So next, amount invoice. This is the amount, date. It is not a proper format. That is the reason it is showing like that. Otherwise, it should come as per the check. This is sample one Oracle is providing. So this is how the format is there within the standard check. So when you are working for your client, technical people will modify the XML templates. Okay, who are like working as XML developer, who knows how to modify the XML templates, they will modify. They can modify accordingly. The printing takes place. Okay, here whatever the standard check format we selected, which is a sample one, Oracle is providing. As per that, this is how that information can be printed on the check. This need to be modified as per the client bank check formats. Right? This is how the payments can be processed. Now we have seen how to make the payment from the invoice workbench, how we can make the payment from payment workbench. And we have one more option to automate the payment process. That we'll see very soon. Okay. Just we have seen how to create the payment. And we'll see P2P cycle later. Okay. PO and receipt based invoice creation we'll see later. I'm just marking it as a. For that we have to do the inventory setups. Okay. So inventory and the purchasing setups also we have to complete. Then only we can work on this concept. We are just marking as a pending. We will see later. First we'll focus on payables. Okay, so far we are creating invoice directly in the payables. If you want to create invoice in spreadsheet, yes, you can create invoice in spreadsheet. That information you can import into payables. Okay, that you can import into payables. So that functionality is spreadsheet functionality. Okay, but that we call as per our application is ADFDA. ADFDA. Application Development Framework. ADF means Application Development Framework. DI, Desktop Integrator. By using this ADF, Application Development Framework, they developed one spreadsheet environment which you can place in the desktop, and with application integration. Again, same whatever the file you are spreadsheet you are placing on the desktop, that can be integrated with your application. There will be online connectivity, so that we call as ADFDI, Application Development Framework Desktop Integrator. Nothing but spreadsheet invoice. Okay, with ADFDI, what we can do, we can create invoices through spreadsheet, and that information we can load into payables application that we call as invoice creation via through spreadsheet. Okay, invoice creation via spreadsheet. This is nothing but functionality wise we call as ADFDI. If you are from EBS background, it is nothing but Web ADI. In EBS, whatever we are calling as Web ADI, in Fusion we are calling as ADFDI. But in EBS, Web ADI is not applicable available for payables to create invoices, but in the Fusion, the ADFDI they given for invoice creation also. If you want to create invoices through spreadsheet, what we have to do? We'll see that. First we have to, one second, let me take this. Okay, to create invoices through spreadsheet, what points we should understand? First we have to download ADFDI file from instance. Okay. Download ADFDI file from the instance. After downloading, okay, install as administrator. We have to run it as administrator. Then set Excel options. What exactly we have to set, we will see that. Then close, okay, Excel. Then close all Excel. Okay, Excel applications. Excel application means the Excel sheet, whatever, MS Excel, whatever we open. After setting Excel options, we have to close it. Then create invoice in spreadsheet. This is the process we have to follow. Okay, if you want to create invoice through spreadsheet by using ADFDI functionality, first we have to download ADFDI file from the instance. That is the first step. After downloading, you have to run that file as an administrator. Say install as an administrator. With the administrator privileges, we have to install it. After installing, you have to set Excel options. Okay, we have to set some Excel options. Then only through that Excel you will be able to create invoice. System can create the framework, all the fields it can add to create invoice. After setting Excel options, you have to close that Excel application. For first time when you set Excel options, make sure that all the other Excel applications, even the sheet which we are using for our class discussion, this also you have to close. No Excel application should be open. First time you have to close everything. Then you can connect to spreadsheet functionality to create invoices. Okay. So these are the points we have to notice. So first we will go on to download that ADFDI file. Okay, we'll go and download the ADFDI file. Sometimes the file will be available in the navigator, sometimes you don't see. This is how you can find all those. Here what we can do is click on here, any ADFDI file is there, desktop. See here. Okay. Ideally it should be under tools. Okay, it is not there. Then you can check under others. Other also it's not there. Under configuration. No. So ideally that should be available under tools. So when it is not available, check somewhere else, anywhere they are placing. Ideally it should be under tools only. Check. Okay. Desktop integrator. You can see the name as a desktop integrator. I'll tell you, like, if it is not available, how to get that. We'll discuss, but ideally that should be under tools. It's not there. In some instances it is showing, some instances it is not showing. Cool. It is not there. No worries. So we have an alternative option to get that. What you can do is simply you can create new user and log in and you can find out. There is an alternative option to get it. If that also doesn't work, I'll tell you some other option. Go to security console. Go to users. So add user account. ABC X. I'm creating one user. So ideally, if the link is not available in the specific user which you are using, you can create new user. If you log into that user, system will display that link. We'll try. Now log into the instance as a ABCX user. Just now we created. We didn't assign anything to this user, right? No roles are assigned. ABCX. What's wrong with this? ABCX only. What happened? So reset password. One second. ABCX. Login. Now go to navigator, tools, others. Still it is not showing, no issues. Some instances this is the issue, like ideally it has to show under our user only under tools. But if it is not working, you can create new user without assigning any roles, it shows. Okay. No issues here. For our practice, I'll share that file with you. One second. So here, this is the file which I downloaded from other instance. I'll place this file in the Google Drive. You can download from the Google Drive and then you can install in your machine. Okay, this you can download from the Google Drive since it is not available in instance. Now we have to, first step is we have to download. Anyway, it is ready.
Lakshman, this will work for all the instances?
Yeah, for any instance it will work. The version is same. Okay, it won't look for the instance, from which instance you downloaded. It works with any instance. Fine. Right. So this is a file. I'll place this file in the Google Drive. Okay, I'll create one folder called as ADFDI. Within that folder, I'll place this file. You can download and you can install. When you are installing, you have to right click. Okay, just right click on that file. One second.
Lakshman, is this file will only work in Windows or it can work in Mac also? No?
But not on a MacBook, Windows only.
Only Windows, okay.
You can right click on run as administrator. Okay. Click as a run as administrator. In my machine, already this file is installed. Now it will ask me to just repair only. Okay. So already installed this file in my system. Just to understand the process, I am running again. It is asking to repair or change. It's already installed. So it will ask you to install. Say yes. Say install. Okay. So this is how that file installation will be completed. Okay. Don't forget to right click and to select as a run as administrator. That's very important. Done. After installing, you have to close all the. Okay. After setting the Excel options. Okay. Done. Now the next step is first you have to download. If it is available in instance, you can download from instance. As of now, you can just download from the Google Drive. I'll place there. Then run as a administrator. That's what install as administrator. Then set Excel options. Okay. You have to set the Excel options. So what we have to do is we have to go to file. Just click on this file. And here go to options. Okay, go to options and go to add-ins. Go to add-ins. What happened to this? One second, please. Why it is not responding? Just give me 1 second. Okay, go to file and select options. This is Excel options. Here select add-in. And here make sure that in the add-ins, our ADFDA is added or not. Here you can see that. Oracle ADF 11G desktop integration add-in for Excel. Otherwise, you can check from here also. Here you can select COM add-ins. COM add-ins, click on go. And you should check whether this is enabled or not. Okay, Oracle ADF 11G desktop integration add-in for Excel. Sometimes it will be installed and you can find this option but as a disabled mode. Make sure that that is enabled. This is the first point we have to check. How to check? Go to file and go to options and select add-ins and select COM add-ins. Click on go and verify this is enabled or not. Done. It is enabled. Next, what we have to do? Go to options again and select Trust Center. Select Trust Center. Then click on Trust Center settings. Okay, select the center settings, and here you can go to macro settings, and in the macro settings make sure that enable all macros ready option is selected, and enable trust access to the VBA project object model. Okay, here you have to enable all macros. Other one is trust access to the VBA project object model. This checkbox we have to enable. Then this is what we have to make sure. Then you have to close the Excel. Any Excel applications are open, all you have to close. Okay, all you have to close. No other Excel applications are open. Now you can go to instance. You can go to instance and you will be able to create invoice from the spreadsheet. Our user is Amex. Now go to navigator. Go to payables. Go to invoice workbench. Okay. Go to task list. And here you can see one task called as create invoice from spreadsheet. Create invoice from spreadsheet. You can click on this create invoice from spreadsheet. Since already we downloaded, installed, and we set Excel options in our system. Okay, so we'll be able to connect to that ADFA spreadsheet from the application. Now just click on create invoice from spreadsheet task. And you can say save file. See what is the name? Create quick invoices. Quick invoices means with a basic information you can create the invoice in the spreadsheet. Within the application, when you are creating the invoice, you can find many fields. But when you are going to create invoice from the spreadsheet, you will have very limited fields which will help you to create invoice very quickly, which is a key information to create invoice. So the invoice creation through spreadsheet you can call as quick invoice also. So you can proceed with the save file option. Say OK. And the file is downloaded. You can double click and open. This message is my system specific. Ignore it. Just 1 second. Okay, wait for a second. Now, see, system is asking to connect to this instance. Okay, this spreadsheet will get connected to this instance. Within this instance, the supplier details and everything it will fetch to the sheet so that we'll be able to create invoice. Do you want to connect to this instance? Say yes. And you have to provide the login credentials so that this sheet will get connected to our instance, and within the instance whatever the data you will be able to access from the sheet. Once we prepare the data with the sheet, okay, within the sheet once we prepare the data, the same you can submit to the instance as invoice. Okay, provide login credentials. You must restart, not required. 1 second. That is not required at all. You can say skip also. Right. I selected again install. If some there is some version variance between that file and this file. If you want to install that gap filling, you can say install or else say skip. This is how the page will be displayed. We'll try one second. Don't say. We'll redo this. Okay. You want to create invoice from spreadsheet. Go to task list. Say create invoice from spreadsheet. Say save file. Double click on that file. Ignore this message. This is very specific to my instance. This enable. Okay. Once we come to this page, it will ask us to connect. Say yes, connect. And provide login credentials. Just sign in. Skip, you can say skip. No need to say install. See what system is saying. A new version of Oracle ADF 11G desktop integration add-in is available. Do you wish to download the correct version and install now? If you want to install, you can install, or else no issues. Even there is a variance between our system and instance level. Still it will work. You can say skip. Installation, if you want to install, click on install or else say skip. Still it will work. Just wait for a second. So this is the invoice creation page. Okay. Now you can enter the invoices. The sheet is tightly connected with our payables application. Okay. Now this is connected with our payables. Within the payables, what are the information we can see as the business units and suppliers, etc. All you can access from this page. This is a spreadsheet where we can create the invoices. Select our business unit here. So all the BUs are coming from our instance. Now the sheet is connected with our instance. Select our BU. Our BU name is MXUS business unit. You can provide invoice number, say 3333. And invoice currency. All the currencies you can see here which are coming from the instance only. Okay, invoice currency is USD. And invoice amount. What is invoice amount? Invoice amount, I want to enter $10,000. And invoice date is today's date. Okay. Invoice date is today's date. I'll say here you can see the which format is required for invoice here. It's not showing. No issues, you can give. So 5th December 21. And you want to create invoice against which supplier. Supplier information is available in instance. Already this sheet is connected with instance. You can fetch the supplier's information from the instance through the sheet. Double click the supplier field. You can notice here for supplier and supplier number, for these two columns, we have a double star mark. What does it mean? Here you can see. If you find for any field 2 star marks, that means at least one is required. If you enter supplier name, automatically it will take supplier number. If you enter supplier number, it will take the supplier name automatically. That is the meaning of it. Supplier name is MX supplier 1. Search. Select and say OK. Done. Select supplier site. Double click. What is the site name? Site name is site 1. Select site 1 and say OK. Select payment currency. Not mandatory. Invoice currency only system will take as a payment currency. Automatically invoice currency system will take as payment currency. That is the reason it is optional. If you want to select, you can select. USD. So invoice type is standard invoice only we are creating. Line level you can enter the amount 10,000. So we don't have any purchase order and all. When we deal with the P2P cycle, that you can understand PO and all. Here you can provide distribution combination. Okay, this 10,000 belongs to which account? Search for this combination. No combination exists like that. Maybe 3. Let's select. Expense. Okay, select any one of the expense accounts, say internet expense. And say OK. Click on OK. So that's all. This is what we can give within this spreadsheet to create the invoice quickly with very basic information. Okay, if you are going to create invoices with very basic information, you can use this spreadsheet, or you can call as a quick invoice sheet, and you can input all these details. Then you can create the invoice. Now what you can do is, see, already system selected create invoices tab. Under that you can say save and do submit invoice import. Click on save and do submit invoice import. Now this invoice information will be imported into payables. Invoice number is 3333, right? That's what we given. Invoice number 3333. Say OK. On failure, continue to upload subsequent rows. If you have multiple invoices, if any invoice goes wrong, remaining invoices need to be imported. But anyway, we have only one. Say OK. So select our business unit, which BU related invoices need to be imported into payables. Next. Now say submit. So here's the source, it is taken as a spreadsheet. Yes, now we are importing from spreadsheet. Say submit. We are creating invoice and we are importing into payables application. Now you can go and find the invoice in the payables. Go to invoice workbench. You can refresh this page navigation. Now you can see invoice 3333 is available here. If you scroll little right, you can find source. These two invoices, manual invoice entry. These two are created within the payables, but this invoice is coming from spreadsheet. This invoice is created in the spreadsheet and imported to payables. Invoice number 3333. Now we have to go and validate and accounting, payment, etc. As per the dates and all, you can do that. Okay, it is coming from spreadsheet. You may submit for validation. The rest of process, if you want to create accounting, how to create accounting. And if you want to make the payment, how to make the payment. This is all you can follow. Okay, this is how we can create invoice from the spreadsheet also. Okay, this is all about invoice creation through spreadsheet. Okay, we're done for today. If you have any questions, you can stay back. Otherwise, no discussions for today. Yeah. Any questions?
I have one question on this spreadsheet, web
Just
ID,
you
I
can
think.
drop from the meeting. Yeah, please go ahead.
So the question is like, I see you use the task create invoice from spreadsheet. Is
Correct.
that task is added after you install the web
No,
API application,
no.
or it's by default it comes?
Yeah, that is available through AP roles.
Okay, so without installing also it should be
Yeah, it should
available.
be
You are
available.
saying,
But
right?
you cannot create since from your client system doesn't support.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. From client system, from which system you are trying to do this, in that system, the ADF DI file need to be installed and you have to set the Excel options. Then this functionality, when you connect, both will sync and will work. Yeah. Any other questions from
So
one, please?
tomorrow we have class, right? Like,
Yeah, we have tomorrow
like,
class.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll connect tomorrow same time.
Yeah.